Welcome, everyone. I am so glad you are here. I have a very special guest today. We have Dr. Shawn Anthony Robinson here visiting with us. He is, as this says, he was once a non-reader, even at age 18. He had someone come into his life, teach him how to read, and he had the grit to go and pursue a PhD. And he is even now an author of a lot of academic articles, but also graphic novels for children, particularly for those children who may be struggling to read. And I'm so excited to have him tell his story. It's a very important story that we all need to know if we are teachers of reading, if we are parents who are concerned about our struggling readers, our kids who have dyslexia. We don't want people to have to go through this, what Dr. Robinson had to go through. So, okay, so let me now say hello to Dr. Robinson. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
It's an honor. You have had an amazing life story, and we want to share it because it's really important to get that news out there that someone could go that long, that many years of school, and be so capable and yet not know how to read. So, and I know that's part of your mission is to overturn that story, right? So that this doesn't have to happen to other children. So yeah, welcome today, and tell us how this all got started, Shawn.
All right. Well, probably, like other students and parents who are persistent to make sure their son or daughters receive the best education. No parent, particularly mother, wants to see their child, be emotionally affected and drained from the psychological toll it takes to not know how to read. And so for me, really, my journey, I was in special education pretty much my entire K-12 experience in self-contained classes, special education, had the IEP, identification as behavior emotional disorder, was on Ritalin, really on that track of self-destruction. I spent 2 years at an alternative high school where I had some amazing teachers. I love them to death today. No fault of their own. They weren't prepared to help me in terms of my reading, but they were prepared to help me with life skills. And so my journey really learning to read started when I was going into my senior year of high school, where my mother found a professor by the name of Dr. Robert T. Nash. She called and she was like, look, I need some help. Like, my son can't read. We're not helping him. He's angry. I'm angry. The household's angry. Like, it was just, a situation where she was desperate for help because the school system just really neglected me. They didn't teach me how to read. Again, it was no fault of some of the teachers I had because I love them to death. They were excellent teachers. So he said, well, come up, drive to Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and I'll test your son. So we drove 2.5, 3 hours in a snowstorm from Chicago to Wisconsin, and I'm in the car, saying inappropriate words to my mother because I was angry, and I was telling her I was stupid, I'm too slow, I'm not going to college, this is, not right, let's turn around and go home, why waste our time? Because that's the mentality that I had, because that's all I knew. Like, I didn't know anything better. I didn't know how to look myself. I just was a lost soul, pretty much walking around school like nothing. So she gets out of the car, she calls the gentleman, Dr. Robert T. Nash, and she was like, between, my son throwing a temper tantrum at 18 and the snowstorm, we're going to turn around and go home.
Yikes.
And she was like, nope. And he was like, nope, you got to get back in. So we drive, and I get there, and he pretty much says to me, I want you to spell some sight words. It gives me the Woodcock Johnson sight words, and he goes, spell the word came. And I was like, yeah, easy. I was like, A-A-M. So he gives me some other assessments, and comes back and asks me to spell the word again, and I'm like, I just told you how to spell it. Why are you asking me again? He goes, spell it again. I'm like, okay, K-A-N, K-A-M. Then he was like, you are one of the most dyslexic, illiterate kids I've ever met in my life. And he's like, but it's not your fault. Like, you have failed by the system.
Right.
And he said, however, he goes, I see a gift in you. He's like, I truly see a gift in you. And I want to accept you into my program. But he said, in order to get accepted to my program, you have to get accepted to the university too. So going home, I'm screaming, my mom's screaming, I'm crying, she's crying, everyone's crying. You know,
Is this
so,
tears of joy or still the anger?
no, tears of joy for
Okay.
her.
Okay.
Me, I'm like, I don't care, like, you know, because at that time, you know, I'm 18, I'm immature, I'm still angry, like I didn't believe in myself. So to me, it didn't really like click, but to my mom, it was everything. It was like she won the lottery, like, because found something in someone that could potentially help me.
Yeah.
And so she did all my college applications, my essay, passed the form. And then next thing I know, after I graduated high school, I started a remedial program for adult learners with dyslexia, and changed my life forever. In fact, these were actually my test scores coming out of high school as
Wow.
an 18-year-old. So my word identification was 5th grade, my comprehension was at a 2nd grade, my math was at a 1st grade, my spelling was at a 2nd, and my word attack was at a kindergarten. So these are literally my scores coming out of high school at 18 years old. Like, no kid, no young adolescent should have to go through, 12 grade levels and 18 years of neglect and have to feel like they're less than. Because when I go speak to students, I tell them the truth. I'm very transparent. Like, I was in a dark place in my life. Like, I was hopeless. I was angry. I didn't listen to anybody. I found myself going down paths that I shouldn't have been going down. So it's not a healthy place to be in, not just mentally, but physically, spiritually. It's a lot. And so again, my experience all changed when I met Dr. Robert T. Nash. He really was the he just he gave me hope. Like, he gave me something that no one else gave me. None of my successes in life would I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Of course, my mother, mothers are always fighting for their kids, but
He had the key.
he taught me how to read. He gave me confidence in myself, and it wasn't rocket science. He wasn't trying to send me to the moon. Like, he wasn't trying to, teach me, algebra. I mean, like, things that were complex. He was teaching me things that were simple, and it was simple based on research. Was based on my experience professionally. Was Orton Gilliam. It was just simple. He taught me how to decode, encode, take words apart, put them together, allow me to love linguistics, allow me to love, understanding words. Like, it was just empowering. It taught me how to use a dictionary. And I'm like, a dictionary? Like, I never even looked at that dictionary in high school before. Like it was ancient to me, but it was like, it fed me. It really transformed my entire life. Like, so I started college at 18. It took me 6 years to get my undergrad degree because I had to make up everything that I missed throughout my K-12 experience. And then afterwards, I went on and got a master's. It took me 5 years to get a master's degree because I still had to make up things that I missed. My writing was very poor. And then I went on and got a PhD, and that took 7 years. So I went to school 18 plus years after high school, getting what was what I should have received in the K-12 system. And, throughout that journey, I had a lot of barriers and trials and tribulations. I had professors that failed me in my undergrad and my PhD program and told me that I would never be this or be that. And those triggered emotions from when I was a little kid. I hear that from teachers and told me, but, being older and a little more mature, I was able to communicate to them, like, your words don't matter to me. Like, you're not going to, write my narrative for me. And I try to tell students with dyslexia, ones who feel hopeless, like, don't let people write your narrative for you. Like, if they do, that's not the narrative that you want. Like, you want to write what you write and what you want to do and your dreams and your goals and your aspirations, you write it. Like, and so I just didn't allow anybody within those 18 years of school tell me what I couldn't do. Like, that was one thing that I made sure that I became my biggest advocate. That's one thing Dr. Nash told me how to do, was to advocate for myself.
Right.
And so I told teachers and professors, like, I'm going to pass your class, and this is how I'm going to pass it, and this is what I need to pass your class. And so I made it clear to them, like, look, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit in this office until you help me, period. And if you call the dean or call the chair or call the campus police, go ahead. But I'm not leaving until I get what I rightfully came to get, and I'm paying for my education. So, I tell kids all the time, you just can't be scared to speak up. You gotta be your own advocate. You gotta look in the mirror every day you wake up and tell yourself you love yourself. I can do this. Because it's a lot to go through. It's a psychological game that you play with yourself, and it's a battle of the mind. You do or you don't, and we need the kids to be on that trajectory of I can versus I won't. And so I don't know if that helps.
It's huge. Yeah, people are saying it's so inspiring, and I really love what you've done so far with your graphic novels. Shawn started out with Doctor Dyslexia Dude, and this tells the story, I think, pretty much that you guys just heard. Here was a child who was angry and down, but he got the keys to literacy through a teacher who was not only compassionate and concerned, but had the information about how to teach a person, even a struggling reader at the what were you at the second or third grade comprehension level? And did you notice the word attack? That's those nonsense word reading levels, you guys. That's the fundamental definition many times of a dyslexic reader, that they can't attack the words. So recognizing words is sluggish. So of course comprehension and fluency is sluggish. And so, but he built that foundation back up for you. And that's what we're doing here at Reading Simplified, is showing people how to teach sound-based decoding to everyone. Even some kids who are going to maybe have a little harder time than others, but everyone can get it, but they have to have the right information. So I love what you've done here to tell that the beginning of the story, and it's about getting that information into the hands of the child, hopefully a lot earlier than you. But then in your second book, Battle for Resilience, you're talking about what you're saying now. There's that extra hope, resilience, that grit that you had to do to overcome 18 years or 12 years of school failure and all the frustration and the wasted time and the lack of exposure to text all those years. So you have to have both. And that's a hard message to communicate, because we need to take responsibility as teachers for getting better prepared so we can reach everybody. But at the same time, we want to empower our children to not quit. And so it's a tricky balance. How are you juggling both issues? It's like the teachers are the adults, the academic community, the educational institutions, they need to be accountable and they need to make a change. But we also have to build our children up and not let them believe what any one person tells them.
Yeah, I tell kids all the time, even my own kids, every kid's gifted. Every kid's born with a gift. And, I don't get into debates with people about different philosophies and things they believe in. To me, every kid's born with a gift. Every kid has every kid can prosper into what they want. Unfortunately, not every kid has access to things that will help get there.
Right.
And that accessibility piece is critical. You know, and white, black, Asian, it doesn't matter. And but some families don't have the access they need to get their son or daughters to where they should be. Unfortunately, it's just the
Right.
reality. It's the haves and have-nots. You know, separation between those with money and those who don't have money.
Yep.
And you know, every kid has a talent. Every kid should be afforded the opportunity to learn how to read. Reading opens doors to your imagination that you couldn't even think about. And unfortunately, you know, in maybe higher education departments, there's a lot of politics that go into it and money. And, you know, I'm not here to talk about, you know, politics one way or the other. I'm just my experience in higher education that we have a lot of egos.
Yeah.
And if it's not their way, it's no way. And that really hurts students because are we talking about egos here? Or are we talking about helping kids? And so I don't care, like, if you're in doubt, your egos are hurt, like, get over it. Get over yourself. These are babies. These are kids
Yeah.
who deserve the best quality education, the best life that they can live. And unfortunately, when they don't get that, they find themselves in dead-end situations, you know, death, bondage, and jail. And, you know, those places are
Right.
dark. You know?
Right. Tell us.
Even mental health, alcohol, drugs.
Yeah.
And so, I tell students, you know, I try not to preach to students because everyone has their own experiences and everyone has to live and go through their own trials and tribulations. I just students never give up. Always believe in yourself. You got to look in the mirror and tell yourself, I love myself. I can do this. I will do it. And my wife always laughs at me because I'm always like, it's like a little train. Choo, 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 choo. You got to just have the mentality. You got to just be resilient and you just got to, you know, tell yourself, I can, I will, I can, I will. If you don't, no one else will. Your parents will, but, you know, sometimes you don't have those teachers that will do that for you. So you got to, and it's hard. Like, it took me a while to learn that. But once I did, I just became a bull and grabbed what was mine. And I learned. And, I just became a consumer of education. And I'm an advocate of early childhood education. I believe every child should have access to instruction, particularly, you know, things that can help them with decoding and coding. You know, I had professors that told me even in my PhD program that I'll never be a published author and told me I'll never do this and never do that. And after I finished in 2016, I have just over 40 publications, but I put out in a year. And
Whoa,
so,
you're a lot more prolific than me. It's awesome.
I don't, you know, see things in the academy, people, they want to, without getting myself in trouble here, it's like a competition, right? Like proving yourself, your intellectual ability. Like, I don't care if you don't like me or what I do. Like, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to help kids and I'm not getting caught up in, you know, what school you went to and who you study under and this, like, that doesn't, me, it's about the kids. Like, some kids ask me, hey, Dr. Robinson, what research do you follow? Whose theory do you follow? I'm not asking you that. They're asking me, how do you learn to read? Like, you know, teach me. And so I teach them what I know. And if I don't know everything, I'm going to refer them to somebody who might know the answers. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You know, because, I'm not sure if this is making sense. It's helping at all.
It's good. We're getting a lot of comments. I don't know if you can see them, but a couple people wanted to know, you mentioned in passing, what was it that made all the difference with, besides Dr. Nash and the kind of person, the man he was, but also what were the tools that he used that you didn't have before? How did he teach you?
He just taught me how to explicit, systematic, sequential. It was just
Phonics.
direct. I mean,
Decoding.
It wasn't rocket science. He just got me up on the board, multi-sensory instruction, and was like, look, my turn, you're going to learn this, and I'm going to help you. And anytime I made an error, he corrected immediately, so there was no room for error. And once it started clicking, it was over. Like, it was on. Like, I felt like I was like the MVP. Like, you know, it was just, I felt good about myself because I was able to then go into a dictionary and teach myself how to decode or encode a word just by grapheme, phoneme representation, and syllable. It was just it was just a natural process for me.
Yes.
Uh,
But
and
it
my
had
first,
been hidden. It had been hidden for 12 years of your schooling.
yes, 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 and
With
uh,
teachers, many of whom probably were very well meaning. And I
oh
think
yeah,
many people here who are on this who are watching now, they were probably like me that went through, got their teaching education and knew a lot about different things about how to support kids, but didn't actually know how to give kids the access to print, how to break down the code. And then
yeah,
they were found themselves in charge of kids who were supposed to teach that. And then they were given programs that kind of directed them away from looking at print and making guesses, looking at the picture, not really teaching, as you say, grapheme, phoneme relations, sound and symbol connections. And so you were frustrated all those years. Can you tell us more about what that was like? Because I think if we, as the educational community, if we understood more deeply how profoundly tragic it is and unnecessary that for students to be frustrated with reading, we would finally stop the arguments and make a difference.
yeah. I don't know if the argument's ever going to stop. I mean, and that's something I try not to get into because I think even when I leave this earth, people are still going to have egos and
Yeah,
arguing and
true.
territorial. It's like, in a sense, where like a little kid in a sandbox, and somebody comes in your sandbox and takes your toy dump truck, and you're like, no, it's mine. There's enough sand in the sandbox for everyone to play in. It's not, my sandbox only. And so that's kind of like the mentality that we have in these reading wars. And,
Yes.
to me, I don't even get in debates or conversation with that because to me, I only speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else. It's not healthy for me. And, and at the end of the day, is it really helping kids benefit? Like if I get into a conversation or a debate or argue with somebody, is it really helping kids or is it just back and forth two adults going at it with ego? And to me, I cut that a long time ago because I want to find best ways to help kids learn to read. And that social emotional piece is so critical. If the young kid is acting out, I just got done speaking to a class just now of doc students, and we talked about the social emotional piece of learning.
Yes.
And one of the things is don't just judge the student and just think they have an emotional problem. Like actually listen to the child and see like what's the root cause of the behavior.
Right.
Like if I go to the mechanic, I want to know the root cause of why my car is failing. So if a kid is acting out, I want to know the root cause of why or how come that student's acting out.
Yep.
And 9 out of 10 times it's probably because they can't read. And the way they express themselves or communicate is through outbursts, anger,
Right.
avoidance. They don't want to read. They, do things that are inappropriate. And to them, that's their sign for help. It's like almost like when you're a little kid playing kickball and you wave your hands like, pick me, pick me. It's the same type of analogy when a kid's acting out is that's how they're saying, hey, pick me. I need help. I don't know how to read. Please help me. And people are overlooking that, saying, oh, little Johnny's just angry. Let's send him to the principal's office and
Right.
give him more medication or stick him in
Right.
stuff. That's not really helping. That's not helping kids, in
Right.
my opinion. I don't want to speak for anybody else. I don't want, people to think that I have the answers. I'm just speaking from my own lived experiences and what I see working with kids today.
Yeah. Somebody says they love the car mechanic analogy. Yes, many of you probably know that in the U.S. at least, and it's not that different in other English-speaking countries. About 65% of our kids are not proficient in reading at the 4th grade. About a third are below basic, and that's where Shawn would have been. So many years ago as this child himself. And so what does that child experience when they can't read well? They experience failure in the main work of their day. Their main work at school is to read in science, in math, in art, and they're failing at it. And so then, a natural outcome is withdrawal, anger, humor, all sorts of things are flow out of it. And it's interesting. I mean, studies have been done on people just with behavior problems just getting reading intervention, and then the behaviors get better. Aha. And that's kind of what you experienced. You've discovered your own tenacity to resist even teachers who told you you couldn't. And in this story, you talk about how you were, your teachers didn't even believe that you could have been accepted into college. And that's a devastating blow for a young 18-year-old where you already had some identity challenges because of all those years of frustration. So,
Yeah.
and
I was, even in my alternative program, I was sharing with the other doc students that I spoke with just a little while ago. I was throwing chairs at teachers, saying inappropriate things to teachers. Like, I had no self-control, and I'm not proud of that, but that's who I am, and that's part of my story of frustration. Like, I was literally walking around school feeling hopeless, like I was just in a dark place, and that's not a place that students want to be. I tell them that dark box is it's depressing, it's suicidal, drugs, alcohol. Like, that's not a place that's of good spirits and good energy. That's a place where you end up in bondage, which is jail, prison, or death, unfortunately, and or just not really reaching your full potential in life because you haven't been given opportunities.
Yeah, I think over 70, somewhere between 70 and 80% of the people that are in prison are functionally illiterate. Where did it start? Was it because they didn't crack the code in kindergarten and first grade and they became frustrated? Shawn's story is exceptional because he overcame it, but it's tragically this frustration and the failure before he was 18 is actually very commonplace. And it happens for kids who are in high income situations, and it happens a lot, of course, with kids in low income situations. Our society is still very inequitable, but because we haven't really cracked the code as a system for how to give everybody access to reading, even in our high SES schools, we have lots of kids who aren't figuring out how to read. They're getting frustrated. And then how are they solving it? Sometimes parents have to work their way around the system, like your mom finally found a rescuer, right? But that shouldn't be the way that the system is, that only the elect few can work outside the system, maybe sometimes pay thousands of dollars and get an answer. But that is what's happening to a lot of kids. Yeah.
No, it's unfortunate. That's the way that the system is designed, and it's unfortunate, it's unfair that parents are put in a situation between, looking at providing a tutor for their child or paying a bill for electricity. Like, it shouldn't have to come down between, a bill or education. So, schools should be responsible for this. They should help facilitate this discussion.
Yeah.
And even if they have to train parents who struggle with reading, like, help the parents. Like, is there any harm by having a night class for parents or some sort of community building to help parents so they can help their child at home too? I mean, but a lot of things are based on money, right? Like, it's money. So I don't know. It's a tough situation.
And you're doing a lot to advocate. So you're writing these graphic novels. This is the first one he wrote, graphic novel. It's going to be really inspiring for those of you who have kids who are struggling with dyslexia. You are you're donning your own Doctor Dyslexia super suit and going out telling your story. You're riding a bike across the state. Tell us some of the things that you're doing besides just coming here and telling us your story and writing the stories down. What are ways in which you're trying to advocate to get a change for our kids?
I don't know. I just try to just spread the good word of hope, really. Whoever I can deliver a message to, if it's a parent, if it's a kid, if it's a teacher, policymaker, anything I can do just to, let people know that we need to make some changes within our education system. You know, black, white, it doesn't matter. Um, Kids need the best instruction. Kids need hope. Kids need access to high quality instruction. They need a toolbox they can open up and pull out different strategies so they can become independent across all academic areas, particularly reading, because reading leads to math, it leads to spelling, it leads to, a whole bunch of other things. And
Exactly.
so I just try to, go where I can be a messenger of hope. And, some places are more welcoming than others. And so I just try to take a positive and spin on it and, allow my energy to direct me where I need to go. Because again, sometimes I can be talking to a wall, and that's not very healthy for me. So I'm very selective of, because, I got a family, I got 2 boys, a wife. And so, like for Dyslexia Awareness Month, one thing I felt like there was in my spirit to do to honor my professor who taught me how to read, who's passed away for 3 years now. He loved to bike. I biked 175 miles in one day to honor his life. So
Awesome.
I biked from here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin to Evanston, Illinois. So it was one day, took under 12 hours. And so that ride was just really to raise awareness for dyslexia and health too, because those are 2 important elements of students, like the whole emotional, mental health. And so I just try to do what I can to do something positive. And I felt like that bike ride, something that I wanted to do. And so I got on my bike and biked 105 miles with 2 other people.
Cool.
So,
and I was following that on your Instagram, and that's awesome that you did that for Dyslexia Awareness Month, which was October, but we need this all year round, don't we? So you are trying to do 2 things. We need to give kids access to solving their problems about reading, but also we need to give them the hope. And you really have captured that well with both of these graphic novels. Are you going to be expanding this series, and what are your plans for that?
Yes, my wife and I are in the process of writing books 3 and 4.
Cool.
So we get those out together and working on some other projects because I feel like writing research papers and articles, it's okay, like for the academy, but I imagine people on your viewers are not going to.
They're not reading it, yeah. They don't even have access half the time for paywall, yeah.
So that's why I told my wife we needed to write children's books that were accessible and affordable. That's why they're only $5 a book.
Yep.
Because like people are like, oh, you should have charged 15, 20 bucks. I'm like, why? They're like, because you're not making a profit. I'm like, it's not about the profit. It's about providing access to families and allow parents to buy books. And so that's why we make the books $5. And once we sell 10,000 copies, we're about 5,000 short. We're getting there. 20% of the profit is going back to the International Dyslexia Association to start a scholarship for families. So
awesome.
It's not really about it's about making stuff affordable and accessible for families, and so that's what the book was for. What I mean?
Yeah, Dawn wants to know if the books can be purchased. Absolutely, yeah, and that's how I snag these. Remind everybody what the website is. Is it DR or
yes, Doctor Dyslexia Dude.
And with a DR and then dyslexia. Let me put it up here on the screen, make sure I got it typed right. There we go. Let's see, just make sure I got it right. Does that look like DrDyslexiaDude.com? Can you see that? Yeah, but we're going to be giving it away. Is that right over here?
Oh, yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys can get your own, and you can get a couple copies because, like you said, it's only $5. It's a great value, but the illustrations are great, and it's his real story. So many people can relate to this.
Yeah, we also felt like two things. The book served as a reference for students with dyslexia they can relate to. But we also wanted to make the character reflect students that look like me. We wanted to make the character black, just to have a positive image out there. So it served two purposes. One, to provide a source of inspiration for all students with dyslexia, but also allow students who look like me to know that they are capable of doing anything that they put their mind to. So we have gotten questions from people saying it's not research based. You have the word dyslexia in it, and you should have this, that, and the other. I'm like,
there's always something to fight about. But yeah, we're with you. I know my audience is with you. Yeah, the question was who illustrated it. So Shawn and his wife Inshira were the ones that wrote it, and then it was illustrated by Brandon Hadnot. Did I say that right? And they've worked together evidently for a while. He's very talented. And so people are saying wonderful. Mackenzie is like representation matters, absolutely. And particularly with reading, and many of our children of color, they're not getting a fair shake in the school systems, and they are disproportionately behind in reading. But like I said, it hits every ethnicity, every socioeconomic status. So we have a problem, but it's disproportionately hitting a lot of Black, Latino, and Native children, and so we have to make this change. So Grace points out, I like this point. I really like this point. It's a great tool to bring awareness for other students just to understand the struggles of dyslexic students. It's if you learn to read easily, whether through aptitude, natural giftedness in that one little niche of the brain, which is a little narrow niche of cognition, or you had some really good instruction, it may seem perplexing that it's such an ordeal, but we need to understand that. And again, if you had different instruction early on, it probably wouldn't have been as challenging for you. And we had the question, do you think it needs to be one-on-one? Do you think your instruction needed to be one-on-one when you were young? It's kind of hard to go back in time and answer that, but do you have a sense for that?
Every teacher and classroom is different, right? Elementary school might be a little hard. I mean, I can't say what will work, and I don't have a magic wand. But middle school and high school, I think, from my experience and things I've done work, I've done groups. I've done groups of 5. I've done groups of 7.
Yep.
High school, I've done groups of 10. I've actually done community programs at local churches and boys and girls clubs, at churches where I actually had 20 people in my class. I had 10 parents and 10 kids.
Awesome.
10-week program. And that also builds the whole social, cultural perspective of learning. And
right.
Also, in my opinion, it's also a form of whole language, because you're having a conversation, a dialogue about words and meanings and creating lexicon. And
right.
People don't understand if you teach multi-sensory instruction appropriately, or get whatever instruction that you use, and you have a dialogue about the word, you have to student put the word in context. That is essentially whole language, because you're teaching meaning and you're teaching context, and so the whole debate's out the window, because if you're teaching phonics, you're teaching whole language. I mean, in my opinion, again.
Yeah, we're with you there. It doesn't have to be dichotomous relationship. It's ridiculous. We've gone past that, and especially since we know that the research is pointing us this way, that we just reveal how the code works, give kids access to hearing the sounds, match it up to print, but then at the same time enfold them in rich language like you're talking about. Discuss the words. Tell us about your dictionary habit. Didn't start when you were 18, right? Or before, it wasn't there before you were 18, but what did you develop after you got access to the code?
I mean, I have about 10 dictionaries in my library here in my house. And so I'm always using them because to me, it's like a Bible. I open it up and it's got teach me everything I need to know about language. It feeds me my knowledge that I need. And when I work with kids today or young adults, I'm like, a dictionary. What's a dictionary? Like they're not exposed to it. Everything's on their phone, so you can go to your phone, look at things up. And so Dr. Nash was just old school. Like he believed in the dictionary. He believed in teaching you how to match, grapheme, phony representation on the board, chalkboard. So I just
Doesn't have to be high tech.
no, it doesn't.
Love it.
It just really taught me how to appreciate our language and our sound system that's very complex and has too many rules of words that are regular versus irregular, and it just was on and on and on. But in a dictionary, it just taught me how to have an appreciation for our language, but also be able to master the appropriate pronunciation and enunciation of the words. And so
Yes.
that's pretty much what it gave me. It was my tool and my vessel that opened up everything else for me to do.
Mm-hmm. Opened up the world. Yeah.
Writing, reading, all of it. Like it was my springboard to where I am at today.
Mm-hmm. I know it sounds as if you don't want to tell us there's one thing, but a lot of people are wanting to know, what are the programs you're using? What are you doing? So what do you feel comfortable sharing? I know you're trying to be broad-minded and say, it's got to be explicit and systematic, but it doesn't have to be just one program. So people are trying to pin that down, and I love how you're communicating on this. What do you tell people when they want to say, what is it? What is the thing the key that Dr. Nash gave you?
He really what he did, he had dyslexia himself.
Oh, wow.
And he studied the entire Webster Collegiate Dictionary for 30 years of his life.
Mm.
He went through every single word in the dictionary to find the frequencies of sounds and patterns, short A's and long A's and the schwa. And he found the schwa has 28 ways to say the schwa sound, the spelling. And so, of course, I don't master all 28 ways, but it's just the concepts that he taught me were all just based in the dictionary. It wasn't anything that was rocket science. He literally opened up the dictionary and taught me how to spell and pronounce the word apartheid. So it's just the ability to look at the less than dark print in the dictionary, match it with the dark print, in the dictionary, and find the correspondence between the graphemes and the phonemes. And then once he taught me how to put the puzzle together, it was just the light click.
Awesome.
And it was just the understanding of the phonemic awareness of our sound structure. I wish I could say more, but that's really what it was. He just taught me phonemic awareness. He taught me how to, appreciate sounds and really, see it, say it right. Like it was just the whole kinesthetic, visual, multi-sensory, and
right.
But also from there too, it was the critical analysis piece where he really wanted me to really understand what I was reading.
Yes.
Really take, a deep breath and look, this is how we put this word together.
Right.
This is how we take it apart. This is the root word, and these are the prefix suffix. So it was just, he taught me to appreciate our language, and that really gave me confidence. Like the very first word he taught me how to spell as an 18-year-old was monochromatism.
He had high expectations.
Word. And his thing was, I'm not going to teach you a one-syllable word at grade level. He said, because you're going to feel less than. I'm going to give you something that you're going to be exposed to in college, I'm also give you something that you can achieve. Like I'm gonna set the bar high for you. I'm not gonna give you cat, mat, rat, pat. Like I'm not gonna give you sight words. Like no. I'm gonna give you words that are high, dense, complex, have multiple rules to them, and you're gonna hit the ground running. And so I still know how to spell the word monochromatism today. I still know the phonemes, form, sound. So it just he taught me how to have appreciation for our language. It was just
Yeah, I love it.
and the whole critical piece. I'm not sure if that helps or not. If people, I mean,
Yeah, I'm hearing you. And if if you have been following us for a while here at Reading Simplified, we try to make things simple, and we often refer back to the simple view of reading. And what Dr. Robinson's talking about here can be boiled down with that equation that reading comprehension is the product of decoding and recognizing words and understanding language, the language comprehension, understanding the words. So Dr. Nash put those two together for him, and then the world opened up. And I love it. So we don't have to, as you say, we don't have to argue like the reading wars, as if when we teach kids the codes that we can't talk about sophisticated words, we can't talk about the meaning of words and read difficult things. I'm sure that he didn't probably put you straight into a Cat in the Hat book, sounds like.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, he was advanced. He was ahead of his time. Like, he started a college remedial program at the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh in 1979, I believe it was, 78, with 5 students. And now it serves over 1,000 students. Like,
Yes.
students come over the country to the program. And he was old school. Like, he just was advanced his time. And when he went and did presentations in the Orton Society, now it's IDA, like, they were praising his work because he was literally ahead of his time when it came to his approach. And he just, in 2017, before he passed away, he signed over his work to me and was like, "It's your turn to continue my work." So, I have a lot of shoes to fill. I'm very fortunate that he chose me to continue his work. I'm very blessed and honored. I'm just trying to do, what he did to thousands of young adults. I'm trying to do for the same, if I can. There's a reason why he chose me to continue his work, and so I have all his work from the 70s. When he passed away, his wife brought a carload of boxes of books, and so I have everything. So I study all his work, and so I know it like the back of my hand, and I don't get in debates with people about what program works, what doesn't work, and this. I know it works, and I'm gonna stick to what research says, and I'm gonna keep giving kids hope until I leave the earth.
I love it. What would you like to tell teachers? That's the main people that we speak to. Like, what would be the one thing you want them to, one or two things that you want them to leave with tonight?
You just gotta, have hope. You just gotta keep, investing in the kids. Never give up. It's like watering the plant. It just takes time and nurturing, and the child might click tomorrow. They might click a month from now. They might click a year. They might click after you after they graduate. I mean, everything's about time and patience. But right now, time is an enemy for a lot of kids. And so one thing I always tell people is have hope. And what does hope stand for? The H stands for help, right? Because we want to help people. So always for opportunity. Every kid needs an opportunity, right? P is for progress, because we want to make sure kids are making progress. And E is for empowerment, because we want to empower kids. So we give them help, leads to opportunity, leads to progress, and then, empowerment. Because once you're empowered, people can't take that away from you. There's, nothing that anybody in the world can do when you feel empowered and you feel confident among yourself, and you've been able to achieve the things that you want to achieve in life. If it's a degree, if it's, start your own business, whatever you want to do, like, people can't take that from you. You've earned it. Like, there's a sense of gratitude. So you just gotta keep believing it, like a little train. Choo, choo. That's what I tell my kids. You gotta believe in yourself. People in the world will hate on you. People will try to discourage you. People will talk about you, talk about your work. And I tell my boys, you can't worry about that stuff. Even I tell kids when I go do motivational speaking or teachers, you can't worry about that stuff. You got to worry what's in your heart. And if you have a pure heart and clean hands, and you have the best interest for kids, then just keep doing what you're doing. But again, I don't want to, speak for everybody. Everyone has their own opinions and views, and I respect that. And teachers who are out there, I have a lot of respect for them. They got to do what's best for them in their current environment, if that makes sense.
Totally. These are strained times, probably, more than ever, obviously. And I hear your respect for teachers, and I want to give that respect to teachers too, because both of you and I had something in common. We've tried something and it wasn't working, and I was a teacher and it wasn't working for me, and many of the teachers have tried the same thing. And so it's a systemic thing, and teachers are trying their best, but a lot of times it's just not reaching the kids. And so I love that you're drawing awareness to this problem. You're not the only, your story, although you overcame, is stunning. The story of frustration is really too common, but we do need to we absolutely respect our teachers. We love them, and we're so grateful now, probably more than ever. But we also want to get the word out that there are ways of revealing the code to kids. So,
All right, so the same school that kicked me out, I always share this with students so they can understand that hard work pays off. They inducted me into their Alumni Achievement Award. So my plaque and picture is up on the wall with other outstanding alum. And in my acceptance speech, I told them never give up on kids, and especially when you have another Shawn Anthony Robinson in your classroom. Don't underestimate their ability, because you never know what kid's going to shine into. Like you'll just never know when that kid's going to blossom. And so, I don't tell people about my accolades. I don't get into that stuff. I don't post all that stuff on social media because it's not the life, for me. But I always share this with kids because you never know what the future is going to give back to you if you put out the energy that's positive. You don't give up. I was even invited to the White House twice in 2016 to present my work to My Brother's Keepers initiative that deals with African American and Latino boys. And so this picture speaks volumes. It represents, not just me, but my sons came with my oldest son came with me, my wife, and it also speaks volumes, testament to kids in special education, particularly kids with dyslexia, white, black, doesn't matter, but particularly representation of young black boys who, like, everyone can be successful. There's a college for everybody. I know I read that in the comment. There's a college for everybody. There is an opportunity for everybody. It's just finding the right fit, and that's when it comes to the opportunity, right? Every kid needs an opportunity, and we got to find what opportunities that present themselves for students. And so I just wanted to share that kids, they have a bright future. They just need the right opportunity to be able to blossom, if that makes sense.
it's huge. It's totally resonating with these teachers and parents out there in the audience. I know a lot of folks are going to be heading over to your website, Doctor Dyslexia Dude, with drdyslexiadude.com. These are only $5. They're slim. They're easy to get through. This is the story of learning to read with Dr. Nash's amazing support. And this is also some of the same overlapping story, but also that more about the emotional burden of it all and the resilience and that's what the title is, The Battle for Resilience. So that's where that hope that you spoke of, that's why that's so important, because particularly for our children who struggle, whether they have struggling because of the instructional environment's not that strong, or maybe they truly do have a dyslexic tendency, and it's going to be harder for them to learn to read. They need to have resilience, so we have to give them that hope.
I just kind of want to take away with the books. One of the things that my wife and I would talk about accessibility and kids getting access to books that have culturally responsive images.
Yes.
If people could, again, it's no pressure. You could buy a classroom set of 20 books for only $89. You get
Wow.
20 books. You get 10 of volume number one and 10 of volume number two. And that's, when I tell teachers that, they're like, wait, you could buy 20 books for $89? I said, yes. They're like, well, if you could, please maybe just purchase a classroom set and donate it to a class near you, donate it to a church. Just if you can, just donate it to some underserved or even school in an urban, suburban, and rural community. Just let kids have access to the books if possible.
I love it. And remember, if you weren't here earlier, Dr. Robinson said once he hits 10,000 books sold, he's going to share 20% of the profits with the International Dyslexia Association. So they have a scholarship. And you're on the board of the International Dyslexia Association, right? So,
Okay, so the scholarship is really aimed for families and parents. That's the one thing that we want, is to be able to allow a scholarship for parents to apply to cover tutoring services, because tutoring is outrageous. Some people can't afford it. So so that's the thing. I don't put pressure on people to purchase them. I just put it out there, and
it's a good opportunity, you guys. Yeah. And Mim is in Australia, and she wants to know if you mail to Australia.
Do you have to contact when you go to the website, you can contact Ripon Printers. Otherwise, the PDF of book number 1, volume 1, is on Amazon.
Okay.
So it's on Kindle for Amazon.
Well, I'm so thankful for your time. I'm so thankful that you are an overcomer and that you are now sharing this story so other children don't need to suffer. Thanks so much for sharing this, and I love your books, and I hope that we stay connected, and I know those of you who are watching are inspired, and you're going to take some action in some way based on this. To keep doing, if you're teaching, keep doing the hard work that you're doing. Thank you for serving, and if you're a parent who is struggling with your child, I hope this gives you some inspiration. And we do here at Reading Simplified, we do try to make it easier to teach reading, so we hope to be here to serve you in the future. But mostly, I'm so grateful for Dr. Robinson. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Good night, and here's to making great readers.
Thank you.
Would you like future complimentary trainings like this here at Reading Simplified? Then make sure you ring the bell here at YouTube to become a subscriber so that you learn more of our ways of streamlining instruction and accelerating students' reading achievement. And you can also find us on Facebook at Reading Simplified, usually on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go live with other complimentary trainings, and we give away some freebies for teachers and parents. So I hope to see you here again next time on YouTube or even on Facebook. Take care.